Have you ever felt it? That jolt of pure, white-hot panic that floods your entire body from a sound that should be meaningless, a car backfiring on the street, a dish shattering in the kitchen. For a split second, your heart hammers against your ribs, your muscles clench like stone, and every fiber of your being screams a single primal word: danger. And then, just as quickly, your thinking mind catches up. It's just a car. It's just a dish. You're safe. You take a breath, maybe a shaky one, and try to force the tension from your shoulders. But the feeling, the echo of that terror, it lingers. It's a ghost in the machine, a cold residue that whispers a chilling lie: you are not safe. Or maybe it's not a sound. Maybe it's the way someone looks at you, a tone of voice, a particular smell that sends you spiraling into a rage, or a profound sadness, or a complete and utter numbness that feels like you're watching your own life from behind a thick pane of glass. You find yourself reacting, lashing out or shutting down. And a part of you knows, intellectually, that this reaction is out of all proportion. You know you are overreacting. You know it's not logical. And in the aftermath, a deeper, more painful question arises. What is wrong with me? You are not broken. You are not weak. And you are certainly not crazy. What you are experiencing is the most human, most biological response to an inhuman experience. You are living with a fundamental truth of our existence. The body keeps the score. For centuries, we have been taught to see the mind and the body as two separate entities. The mind is the seat of reason, of logic, the part of us that knows. The body is merely the vessel, the machine that carries the mind around. So when this internal war erupts, when your body screams danger while your mind insists you're safe, the logical conclusion is that something is wrong with your mind, that if you could just think harder, be more rational, be more willful, you could conquer these feelings. But what if this entire premise is wrong? What if the feelings in your body aren't just irrational noise to be suppressed? What if they are, in fact, a form of memory, a memory that is older, deeper, and far more powerful than the story you tell yourself about what happened? In this video, we are going to journey into the science of trauma, guided by the groundbreaking work of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. We are not just going to talk about what trauma is, we are going to explore what it does to your brain and your body. We will provide a new map for understanding your own internal landscape, a map that shows why you feel the way you do. And this isn't just about understanding, this is about empowerment. Because once you understand the mechanism behind why you feel stuck, you gain a new power, a power that moves beyond self-blame and toward self-compassion, a power that gives you the tools not to erase the past, but to finally stop it from endlessly repeating itself in your present. This is the first step in learning how to inhabit your own body again and feel truly alive. If you have ever felt that internal war, or know someone who has, you are in the right place. This is MindMirror. Consider subscribing and join a community dedicated to navigating the complex landscapes of the mind with depth and clarity. The central pain of living with the imprints of trauma is the feeling of being at war with yourself. It's a civil war waged inside your own skin, your rational mind, the part of you that makes plans, understands logic, and reads the evidence of the present moment, stands on one side. It looks around and says, "The danger is over. I survived. I am safe right now." But on the other side is your body, and your body doesn't seem to have gotten the memo. your body still lives in the past. It holds the tension, the fear, the rage, the collapse. It's the tight knot in your stomach when you enter a crowded room. It's the sudden, inexplicable urge to flee when someone raises their voice. It's the profound exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. It's the numbness that robs you of joy, even in moments that should be happy. And so, you try to reason with it. You tell yourself, calm down. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's like a parent trying to reason with a terrified, screaming child. But the screaming doesn't stop. And the more you try to suppress it with logic, the more alienated you become from your own physical self. The body becomes the enemy. It becomes a source of shame, a traitor that constantly betrays your attempts to live a normal life. This feeling of betrayal is one of the deepest wounds of trauma. You feel betrayed by what happened to you. And now, you feel betrayed by your own nervous system. You start to believe that you are fundamentally flawed, that there is an essential part of you that is broken beyond repair. This, right here, is the great misunderstanding that keeps so many people trapped. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is not that you lack willpower. The problem is that you have been trying to solve a biological problem with a psychological solution. You've been trying to talk your body out of a state that it entered without consulting your thinking mind in the first place. To truly understand this, we need a new map of our own inner territory. We need to understand how the brain itself is organized. Imagine your brain not as one single entity, but as three distinct, interconnected layers, each evolved at a different stage of our history. This is a model known as the triune brain, and it's a powerful tool for understanding your internal world. At the very base, in the brainstem, is the oldest part, the reptilian brain. Think of this as the guard dog of your entire system. Its only job is survival. It controls your most basic functions: breathing, heart rate, sleeping, eating, and your fight, flight, or freeze response. It is pure instinct. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel in complex ways, it just reacts. Is it a threat attack? Flee, shut down. It is the part of you that is always scanning the environment for danger. Wrapped around that is the next layer, the limbic system, or the mammalian brain. This is the feeling brain. This is the pack leader. It's the source of your emotions, your social bonds, your sense of connection and belonging. It's what makes you a mammal. It craves connection, fears abandonment, and constantly monitors your social world. It's the part of you that feels love, joy, sadness, and fear. It communicates not in words, but in feelings, in gut sensations, in the language of the pack. And finally, wrapped around it all, is the newest and most sophisticated layer, the neocortex. This is the human brain, the thinking brain. This is the scientist in the lab coat. It's responsible for language, abstract thought, planning, and self-awareness. It's the part of you that can look at the past and imagine the future. It's the part that is listening to these words right now, trying to make sense of them. Under normal circumstances, these three brains work in harmony. The scientist, your thinking brain, can observe the world, make plans, and use its wisdom to soothe and guide. The pack leader, your feeling brain, and the guard dog, your survival brain. When you feel an emotion, your thinking brain can name it, understand it, and choose how to act on it. This is self-regulation. This is being in control. But what happens when the guard dog perceives an overwhelming, life-threatening danger? In the center of your feeling brain, your limbic system, sits a tiny, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Dr. van der Kolk calls this the brain's smoke detector. Its job is to constantly scan all incoming information sites, sounds, smells, and ask one question: is this a threat to my survival? When the smoke detector senses danger, it doesn't wait for permission. It immediately triggers the alarm, sending a signal straight down to the survival brain, the guard dog. This unleashes a cascade of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart pounds, your muscles tense, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. You are now prepared to fight for your life, or run for it. At the same time, something else happens. To conserve energy for survival, the amygdala effectively hijacks the brain. It sends signals to the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, the scientist, the watchtower, and essentially shuts it down. Why? Because when a tiger is lunging at you, you don't have time to philosophize. You don't need language. You don't need abstract thought. You need pure, unthinking instinct. You need to react. This is a brilliant survival system. It is what has kept our species alive for millennia. It is designed to save your life in a moment of extreme danger. And then, once the danger has passed, the entire system is designed to reset. The smoke detector turns off. The watchtower comes back online. You take a deep breath and say, "Wow, that was close." But what happens when the trauma is so overwhelming, so terrifying, that the system can't reset? What happens when the smoke detector gets stuck in the on position? This is the essence of trauma. The traumatic event itself is over, but the brain keeps behaving as if it's still happening. The smoke detector becomes hypersensitive. It starts to perceive danger everywhere. The smell of aftershave, the sound of a raised voice, the feeling of being trapped in a small room. Things that your rational mind knows are not a threat are now interpreted by your amygdala as a 5-alarm fire, and every single time it pulls the alarm. Let's imagine a man named Elias, a combat veteran. One day, he's at a 4th of July barbecue. His rational mind knows he's safe, surrounded by family and friends. But then, a firecracker goes off. Bang! For his thinking brain, it's just a firecracker. But for his amygdala, that sound is identical to the sound of gunfire. The smoke detector doesn't care about context. It detects a match in its sensory library, and it sounds the alarm. Instantly, Elias is no longer at a barbecue. He is back in the war zone. His heart races. He starts sweating. He feels an overwhelming urge to either fight or flee. His watchtower, his prefrontal cortex, goes offline. He can't think clearly. He can't articulate what's happening. All he feels is pure, raw, terrifying sensation. He is reliving the trauma, not remembering it. This is why you can't just think your way out of it. Your thinking brain has been temporarily taken hostage by your survival brain. You are caught in a neurobiological loop, a flashback that is not a memory, but a fragment of past experience being lived in the present. And this is the core of what it means to say the body keeps the score. Your mind may know the war is over, but your body is still on the battlefield. So if we can't simply think our way out of this loop, what can we do? The first, most powerful step is precisely what we are doing right now: understanding the map, shifting your perspective from the language of morality to the language of biology. Think about it. For years, you might have been telling yourself a story rooted in self-blame. I'm too sensitive. I need to be stronger. I shouldn't let these things bother me. Every time your body reacted, you interpreted it as a personal failure, a character flaw. This adds a layer of shame on top of the original fear. The neurobiological thinking tool offers you a different story. It allows you to look at your own reactions with curiosity instead of judgment. The next time you feel that jolt of panic, instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" you can now ask, "What's happening in my brain?" You can say, "My smoke detector, my amygdala just went off. It has perceived a threat. Even if my thinking brain knows I'm safe, it has flooded my body with stress hormones. That's why my heart is pounding. That's why I feel this urge to run." This simple shift is revolutionary. You are moving from being the victim of a mysterious and shameful condition to becoming a compassionate observer of a predictable biological process. You are creating a space between you, your conscious observing self, and the raw, overwhelming reaction. In that space lies the beginning of healing. This is not a quick fix. This is not about making the feelings go away. It is about learning to be with them without being consumed by them. It's about befriending your own nervous system. It's about listening to your body, not as a traitor, but as a wounded companion that is desperately trying to keep you safe, using the only tools it knows. From this place of understanding, new possibilities emerge. We can learn techniques like deep, slow breathing that send a direct signal of safety back to our survival brain. We can explore practices like yoga and mindfulness that help us to feel safe inside our own skin again. We can learn to notice the difference between the sensations of trauma and the sensations of being alive right here, right now. We are, in essence, helping the watchtower to come back online and gently tell the smoke detector, "I hear you. I know you're trying to protect me, but right now, in this moment, we are safe." So, what have we discovered on this journey of thought? We learned that the feeling of being at war with yourself, where your mind says one thing and your body screams another, is not a sign of weakness. It is the central defining feature of post-traumatic stress. It is a biological reality, not a moral failing. Second, we've learned to see our brain not as a single unit, but as a team of three: the primal guard dog focused on survival, the emotional pack leader focused on connection, and the wise scientist focused on understanding. Trauma is what happens when the guard dog takes over and refuses to give back control. Third, we've pinpointed the key players in this hijacking: the hypersensitive amygdala, or smoke detector, that constantly sounds a false alarm, and the prefrontal cortex, or watchtower, which gets shut down in the process, leaving us unable to think clearly or use language to describe our experience. And finally, and most importantly, we have discovered a new way forward. The path to healing is not through force of will, but through understanding and self-compassion. By shifting our perspective from "what's wrong with me" to "what's happening with my body," we move from being a victim of our past to becoming an active, conscious participant in our own recovery. We learn to listen to the score the body keeps, not as a sentence, but as a guide. This journey of understanding is the first crucial step. It is the map that can guide you out of the wilderness. The territory is your own, and only you can walk it, but you don't have to walk it in the dark anymore. The question is no longer, "What's wrong with me?" The question now becomes, "What is my body trying to tell me? And am I finally ready to listen?" Share your thoughts and your own experiences with this internal conflict in the comments below. Your story matters, and by sharing it, you might just help someone else make sense of their own. Thank you for watching.